It should not be done like that.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Indu Verma, who is in charge of the Animals Ethics Committee, for a talk.
I just want to emphasize that when we are planning some experiment with animals, we should just consider these important 3 points. That is, first of all, we should be sure that when we are planning the experiments, there are no other alternatives to the animals. And secondly, we should be sure that research activities which we are planning on animals, they are not unnecessarily duplicating previously conducted experiments. And thirdly, the experiments involving animals are relevant to human or animal health. So only then we should, after we are sure that these things are there in our research proposal, only then we should plan next for the animal experimentation. Once we have planned the animal experimentation, we should follow 3R rules. Now what is this 3R rules? First R is for reduction. That means we should plan our experiments in such a way so that more data from a given number of animals can be obtained. And this can be easily done by collaborating with colleagues. Say for example, if one group is working on mice treated with some drug and they are looking at one aspect and you want to look on the other aspect, you can always collaborate with that person. And this can lead to the reduction in the number of animals. Secondly, refinement. That means when you are planning the experimentation on animals, you should always follow those methods which lead to minimization of pain or suffering in the animals, and there should be enhancement of animal well-being. And thirdly, we should always see that if there is any alternative for the animals which are lowest on the phylogenetic scale, such as if we can use microorganisms or invertebrates, we should always use that. And there should always be consideration for the mathematical and computer models in place of the animal experimentation. Now, in the past, by Government of India, various acts have been established to ensure that these guidelines are followed while animal experimentation. However, these days the guidelines which are being followed, they are being established by the Committee for the Purpose of Control and Supervision on Experiments on Animals, that is CPCSCA, which was first of all established by the Government of India in 1982, and this committee which formulates the guidelines for animal experimentation, this comes under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. And this is the website for the CPCSCA, which can give you all the information about the guidelines to be followed in animal experiments. Now, what is Institutional Animal Ethics Committee? Institutional Animal Ethics Committee is basically a body which is comprising of a group of persons which is recognized and registered by the CPCSCA, a government body, for the experiments performed on animals in an establishment. For example, we have IAAC in PGIMER. So for every institute has its own institutional animal ethics committee, which is guided by the guidelines of CPCSCA. So IAAC is constituted and operated in accordance with the procedures as specified by CPCSCA. So here in PGI also we have IAAC, which has been constituted as per guidelines of CPCSCA. Dr. D. Kaur, who is head of the Department of Experimental Medicine and Biotechnology, he is chairperson of this committee. And as per guidelines, there is a CPCSCA nominee, and this Dr. Neeraj Khatri, who is scientist in IMTech, is nominee of CPCSCA in our IAAC. And Dr. Pavan Krishan, who is from Punjabi University, Patiala, he is a scientist from outside as per CPCSCA guidelines. And Ms. Payal Sodhi, who is a socially aware nominee from CPCSCA, is also a member of our committee. Now, what is the role of IAAC and PGIMER? All the research projects which are submitted for extramural, intramural funding, and synopsis submitted for MD, PhD, MSc program which are involving the animal experiment, they have to be submitted for ethical clearance to IAC. So they are reviewed by IAC. I want to make one thing very clear here, that IAC is not empowered to clear research proposals that involve experiments on animals higher on the phylogenetic scale than rodents. Like if somebody wants to plan the experiments on non-human primates, they can submit to IAC. Only after the recommendation of IAC, this will be then forwarded to CPCSCA and final approval would be from the CPCSCA. Now, I just want to make everybody aware that when somebody submits the proposal to IAC for animal ethics, ethical clearance, now what should be the documents which should, what are the documents which should be submitted to IAC? Now there is a Form B about which I will be telling in the following slide. This Form B, which is duly signed by principal investigator and co-investigator, 8 copies of this Form B should be submitted along with the 3 copies of the full projects, and they can be submitted throughout the year without any deadline in the office, in my office, in the Department of Bioethics, 3rd floor, Research Block 8. And whenever a committee is meeting is fixed, I inform all the faculty members through faculty email well in advance, and then principal investigators who have submitted the proposals, they are also informed personally to be present during the Animal Ethics Committee, meeting of the Animal Ethics Committee. While filling the Form B, investigators should follow the CPCSC guidelines for laboratory animals. Again, these are freely available on the ICMR side. And one thing again which normally we face the problem during sitting in the Animal Ethics Committee, that all those projects which are having the biosafety issues, they should first be submitted to IBC for biosafety clearance, and then they should be submitted to IAC approval along with the IBC certificate. And once PIs have been informed about the meeting of the IAC committee, then PI or co-PI are required to attend the meeting for any clarification required by IAC. Now, what is the review? So once the project comes to IAC, what is the review process of IAC? The review process of IAC is again based on the 3 R's principle. Now, first of all, we look at the study rationale to see if the animal study is really justified or there is some alternative. Then we look at the number of animals. Is the number really justified, or there can be any scope for the reduction in number of animals? And then we look at the methodology, that how the animals will be housed, what kind of food will be given, how the procurement and transportation will be done, whether it is as per guidelines, or is there any pain or suffering involved, so that we look at the refinement principle, that there are no suffering involved in the animal experimentation. Once the Animal Ethics Committee clears the project, it is then informed to PI whether it is approved or it is rejected, or it has been asked for modification. If it is approved, then what is the follow-up procedure? All the projects are, in principle, they are approved for maximum of 3 years. Beyond that, if you need extra approval, you have to again submit the fresh proposal. Then, once project is approved, even for the 3 years, for continuation after 1 year, PI has to submit the annual report along with the Form D. Form D gives the details of the animal uses during the 1 year, when the animals have been used for the experimentation. After the completion of study, one has to submit the final report to IAC. If during the study, after the approval, there is any change in protocol or investigator or site, then there is an amendment protocol. I will be showing that form, and that amendment form should be submitted to IAC for approval in the form of amendment form. If there is a premature termination of study due to some reason, that should be informed to IAC along with the proper reason as well as the summary of the data obtained so far. Now I am coming to the details of the forms. What are the forms which are to be filled up, and what are the common mistakes which are done by the principal investigators while filling up those forms. So first of all, Form B. Now Form B is a form about which I told you that 8 copies have to be submitted. This is the Form B which is available on the CPCSA site. So this is the Part A of the Form B. I have seen that most of the time people are confused about this registration number and date of registration. This is about the registration number and date of registration of animal facility in PGI. And it is fixed that we have already got this in 1999 and every 3 years it is renewed. So this people can note down that this is same for all these projects. And another is place where the experiment is to be performed. As per CPCSA guidelines, no animal experimentation can be done in the departments. No animal can be housed in the departmental animal houses. There is no facility like any departmental animal house. All the experiments have to be carried out in the central animal house, PGIMER. Then Part B. Part B, I have just highlighted the point where mistakes are done. The rest of the points are very simple. Like normally people, they don't put the name of all the individuals who are authorized to conduct the procedure. Here we want that all names of all the co-investigators as well as staff, including students, PhD students, MD students, that should be given along with their name, address and experience. Then funding source. It is very important point because recently there had been a case like this. A person was asking for the ethical clearance without the funding source. Whereas IAC cannot give the ethical approval if the project is completed and there is no funding source, or funding source has not been there for project, or it has to be yet to be obtained. So once the funding source is there, only then project can be initiated, and after the completion of the project by the funding agency, project cannot be approved by IAC. Then duration of the project. Normally people write date of initiation by as per their choice. It cannot be written that. It can be only initiated after the approval of IAC. So it should be written as either they should propose in the long term what is the date, or they should write after the approval from IAC. Then animals required. Normally people say that they require either male or female mice or male or female jack. They need to give the proper justification why a particular sex of animals is required. Then number to be used. Here a lot of time we take a lot of discussion. One thing is that very clear grouping of the animals along with year-wise breakup should be given under this point. And secondly, as per IAC of PGIMER, we normally give 6 animals per group for as far as statistical significance is concerned. But in any study, if investigators say that as per published data, they require more number of animals because of some mortality expected during the experimentation or some problem in the establishment of the model, by giving the proper reference and justification, they can even ask for the more number of animals. And IAC gives more number of animals also. Then will survival surgery be done? This is the point which most of the time investigators, they, without understanding, they write yes. You have to write yes only then if there is some post-operative experimentation involved. Otherwise, the answer should be no. And in case of IBC issues, first of all, IBC approval needs to be taken, and only then it has to be submitted to the IEC. Now coming to the another form, that is Form D. This is the form easily available from the animal house of the PGI, and it just tells that when the animals were used, how many animals. It's just kind of logbook of your animal use. Then annual and final report. We have made the format of the annual report, which is very simple, and after the completion of 1 year, this annual report has to be submitted in brief. Only then animals for the next year are approved. Then finally the amendment form. In the amendment form, one has to mention if there is during the project, if there is any change or change of title or funding agency or change in personnel or change in PI or number of animals or any other change like in euthanasia or species or strain, then these should be submitted in the amendment form, and only after the approval of these amendments by IAC, PI can implement those amendments in the form. And finally, I would close saying that using animals for research activities is a privilege, not a right. And it is a privilege that a scientist or an institution can lose if the ethical responsibilities are not satisfied, because CPCSE guidelines are very strict. Thank you.